I froze, my fingers hovering over the keyboard, staring at the email subject line again. Job application, Emily Carter. I blinked, convinced I must be seeing things. Emily, the same Emily who had laughed at me during my first startup pitch. The same one who had whispered "good luck, loser" under her breath while smirking at the room full of people. My chest tightened, a mix of disbelief and anger knotting together. "Marcus, you're not going to believe this." My voice was tense, almost shaky, but I couldn't hide it from him. "What is it?" Marcus asked, his tone calm as always, grounding me even when my blood boiled. I showed him the email. "She applied to my company. She actually wants a job here." Marcus leaned back in his chair, eyebrows rising. "Wait, Emily Carter, the girl who laughed at your pitch 5 years ago?" I nodded, jaw tight. "The very same," she thought. I was a joke. She thought my ideas were nothing, man. "That's something," he said slowly. "But why does it bother you now? You're running a successful startup. You're not the same guy," she mocked. "It bothers me because she still thinks she can waltz in," I admitted, my voice dropping, like she didn't see the years. "I spent bleeding for this company. It's like she can just join and everything's normal." Marcus rubbed his temple. "I get it. But remember her opinion back then? It didn't matter. You proved yourself." "I know that. But seeing her, name here. It's like a punch to the gut," I confessed, leaning back in my chair. I relived that room, the laughter, the way she whispered while everyone else chuckled politely. I was humiliated, Marcus. Humiliated. "Deep breath," he said, but I could hear the faint smile in his voice. "You survived that. You survived worse. And honestly, I think part of you wants to see what she's made of now." I scoffed, a bitter laugh escaping. "Made of nothing, probably. But the thought that she might think she's caught up to me, that's what I can't stand." Marcus leaned forward. "Then don't let it bother you. Let it fuel you. You've already built what she laughed at." "That's your victory? Her application?" "That's just karma knocking politely." I stared at him. Karma, huh? My mind drifted back to that fateful pitch. I had rehearsed for weeks, prepared every slide, every word. And there she was, folding her arms, smirking and cutting me down in front of everyone. The sting of it had never truly left me. "Exactly," Marcus said. "And now you have the choice. You can let this frustrate you, or you can channel it. Show her, without saying a word, exactly how far you've come." I leaned forward, clenching my fists. "I want to do more than that. I want her to see that underestimating me was her biggest mistake." "Subtlety," Marcus warned. "You don't need drama. You don't need revenge in front of everyone. Quiet victories are the sweetest." "I know," I said, though a part of me thrilled at the thought of a little poetic justice. "But I can't help thinking about all the nights I stayed up, the money I invested, the failures I swallowed, just for this moment, even if she doesn't realize it." Marcus smiled softly. "Then use it. Turn that fire into something bigger than her. Build your empire, make your mark. She'll see it, whether she's here or not. And believe me, she will." I exhaled slowly, the tension in my chest easing a little, I suppose. Imagining her reaction is satisfying enough for now. But the idea of actually rejecting her application, part of me can't wait. "Patience," Marcus said, shaking his head with a chuckle. "The timing will come. For now, focus on you. On growth. On everything you've earned. The rest, let it fall into place." I nodded, my mind buzzing with plans and possibilities. I scrolled through her resume again, deliberately noting the gaps, the minor mistakes, the lack of initiative. All of it confirmed what I already knew. She wasn't ready for my world, not yet. And somewhere deep inside, a small simmering fire grew. Not out of cruelty, not exactly, but out of a desire to show the world and her that I was no joke. That the boy she mocked had become a man she could never underestimate. For the first time in years, I smiled. Quietly, privately, I imagined the day my success would speak louder than her laughter ever could. And in that thought I found a strange satisfaction, a seed of something larger than revenge. my own power, my own validation. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling as memories swirled through my mind. The countless nights I had stayed awake, hammering out business plans, tweaking pitch decks, and answering investor emails while everyone else was asleep. Sleep had been a luxury I couldn't afford. Relationships sacrificed at the altar of ambition. And all the while, Shemley had laughed. Not once, but enough times to make every failure sting worse. "Marcus, do you remember how hard it was at the beginning?" I asked, my voice tight with a mixture of frustration and disbelief. "Of course," he said, leaning back in his chair, a steady presence as always. "You were running on pure determination and coffee?" I chuckled bitterly. "Coffee, determination, a lot of crying in the dark when nothing worked. Every failed pitch, every investor who shook their head." She laughed at me after that conference. I can still see her smirk. Like I was some kind of joke, not someone trying to change his life. Marcus nodded, not interrupting. He knew I needed to vent. "And yet here you are," he said finally. "You didn't quit. You built something from nothing. That's the revenge, isn't it?" I rubbed my temples. I know. But thinking about her sending in her resume, it just stirs something ugly in me. Part of me wants to reject her just to see that smirk fade. Marcus leaned forward, tone serious. "Part of you should. But remember, the best revenge isn't humiliation. It's success. She laughed at you when you had nothing. Now you have something she wants but can't touch, if you handle it right." I sighed, nodding slowly. "You're right. But it's hard to separate the personal from the professional." I keep flashing back to those nights. Pitching to empty rooms, arguing with investors, scraping together money to keep the company alive. My voice grew quieter, almost a whisper. I missed birthdays. I skipped vacations. I lost friends who didn't understand my obsession. And she laughed, as if all that effort was nothing. Marcus leaned back again, letting me speak without interruption. "That fire inside you, that's exactly why you made it this far and why you'll handle her application perfectly. Don't let emotion dictate your decision. Let strategy do it." I closed my eyes, letting the memories wash over me. I remembered failing over and over, pitching to disinterested venture capitalists, staring at blank screens at 3 a.m., wondering if all this effort would ever pay off. I remembered the weight of the bills, the anxiety gnawing at me when the funds were low, the fear that this dream could collapse in an instant. And through all of it, Emily's laughter echoed, a reminder of how easily people underestimated me. I keep thinking, why did I even care what she thought? I muttered, more to myself than to Marcus. Why did her opinion hurt so much? Marcus gave me a knowing look. Because it wasn't just about her. It was about every person who doubted you. Every. A person who thought your ideas were worthless. Her laughter. It symbolized all of that. I nodded slowly, absorbing his words. It's true, and maybe that's why the thought of rejecting her. It's tempting. It's not to be cruel, but to show her that her judgment didn't matter. That I mattered. Exactly, Marcus said. But remember, you're bigger than that moment. You're not her judge. You're your own man now. She doesn't get to define you or humiliate you again. I leaned forward, determination. Settling in? You're right. I need to be careful. Professional integrity matters, but I also want her to see the difference between who I was when she mocked me and who I am now. That's the quiet satisfaction I'm after. Marcus smiled. Good. Let your actions speak louder than words. Let your success be the lesson she never saw coming. And if her application comes back to you, handle it with calm precision. That's power. I exhaled, a sense of clarity forming amidst the anger. I can do that. I can let my work speak. And maybe, just maybe, I'll enjoy the moment she realizes what she missed. Not to hurt her. Just to validate myself. To prove that those burned bridges weren't the end. They were the beginning.
Ow.
Marcus nodded. Now you're thinking like a leader, not someone seeking petty revenge. That's how you turn pain into progress. That's how you win. I smiled faintly. The ember of fire in my chest growing brighter. Every sleepless night, every failed pitch, every sacrifice had built me into this man. And now, faced with her audacity, I understood the power I held not just over my company, but over my own narrative. The first seeds of a plan began to take root, not out of malice, but out of a desire to demonstrate value, resilience, and undeniable growth. And in that quiet determination, I felt the first taste of satisfaction. The knowledge that I controlled the story now, and Emily's laughter would no longer have a place in it. I arrived at the office before sunrise, coffee in hand, ready to dive headfirst into another grueling day. The hum of computers, the faint scent of printer ink, and the steady tapping of keyboards had become a kind of comfort, a signal that progress was happening, even if slowly. Another long one? Emma's voice startled me from across the room. She leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, curious but cautious. Always, I admitted, rubbing my eyes. It's just so much to do, and I refuse to fall behind. Not now, Emma nodded. Slowly observing me, I've noticed. You're relentless. But don't burn yourself out. I smirked faintly. Burnout isn't an option when you're trying to prove yourself, especially when some people... I paused. My gaze flicking to my phone where notifications awaited. Think you'll fail before you even start. Emma raised an eyebrow. You mean Ryan? I nodded, grimacing. Yeah, he's been mocking our product launch online, making snide comments, trying to discredit our work. It would sting if I let it, but honestly, I think it's helping me. I'll channel it into motivation. You have an unusual way of handling competition, Emma said, a hint of admiration in her voice. I've never had the luxury of ignoring challenges, I replied. Every setback, every laugh, every little jab at just reminds me why I need to work harder, smarter. I'm not here to play small. Emma shifted closer. You're serious about this company. I can see it in the way you move, plan, think. Most people wouldn't dedicate themselves this way without a personal reason. I laughed quietly. You could say that. Some people underestimated me before and now. Well, let's just say I'm making sure no one ever does again. Deal, every investor call, every product tweak, it all counts. It all matters. Emma smiled faintly. I like that. I think we could use someone like you on this project. I'm not usually this forward, but I want to help, if you'll let me. I studied her, weighing the offer. Appreciate that. We need every advantage we can get. Just don't expect miracles overnight. I've learned patience is as important as drive. I can work with that, she said, and for the first time I sensed a genuine ally rather than a casual colleague. Later, that day, I scrolled through Ryan's latest social media post, a thinly veiled jab at our progress. He had posted screenshots of our app's beta version, highlighting minor bugs with sarcastic commentary. I chuckled under my breath. Pathetic, I muttered. But the smirk lingered because, truthfully, it fueled me. Every sarcastic emoji, every mocking line, it was a challenge, a gauntlet I willingly picked up. Marcus called just as I was about to sit down for another investor meeting. You're still grinding? He asked, the amusement in his voice evident. Always, I replied. Ryan's at it again, mocking us online. It's almost funny. But it's a reminder that success isn't about avoiding ridicule. It's about proving them wrong. Marcus laughed softly. And you're doing a good job of it? But remember, success isn't just about proving others wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you can do this. I know, I said, feeling a surge of confidence. But it doesn't hurt to see them squirm a little, right? That's the spirit, Marcus said, chuckling. Just keep your focus on what matters: growth, innovation, and the people who actually care about the company. By the afternoon, I was meeting with investors, pitching new product features, and negotiating terms that reflected the maturity and vision of our startup. Each small victory a nod of approval, a signed agreement. Compliment on the prototype added fuel to the fire burning in my chest. During a break, Emma approached again. You're relentless, she said, handing me a folder. I've mapped out a few potential investors and partners. I thought you might want to look over them. Thank you, I said, scanning the documents. This is exactly the kind of initiative I need. You're proving yourself already. Emma smiled faintly, a mixture of pride and wariness. Just trying to keep up with you. I laughed, a genuine sound that lifted the tension in the room. Keep up. You're already ahead. That's exactly the kind of team I want around me. Smart, careful, observant people who see the big picture, who don't flinch at the grind. By evening, the office was quiet. I leaned back, reflecting on the day. Every interaction, every challenge, every small win, it all contributed to a vision of undeniable success. A life where people, family, friends, even Emily would see the result of relentless effort, unshakable focus, and refusal to let ridicule define me. Ryan could mock me online. Emily could think she still had any sway over my perception of myself. But I knew the truth. Each day I worked, each deal I closed, each milestone achieved was proof. Proof that I was building something lasting, something meaningful, and when the time came, the recognition would arrive. Not through confrontation, not through arguments, but through success they couldn't ignore. I stared at the screen, frozen. Her name, bold and familiar, glared at me from the inbox, Emily Parker. My heart thudded not from fear, but from shock and disbelief. After everything, after all those years, she had the audacity to apply to my company. My fingers hovered over the mouse, unwilling to click, yet unable to look away. Wait, is that Emily Parker? Marcus's voice came from the speaker on my desk. He sounded amused, but cautious, as if he could sense my internal storm. Yes, I said, my voice tight. She actually applied. Marcus whistled softly. Well, that's something I didn't see coming. You thinking what I'm thinking? I leaned back in my chair, rubbing my temples. I don't know if I should even consider it. After the way she mocked my startup back in college. She laughed at every idea I pitched. Me in front of everyone? Marcus? I remember he said quietly. I remember you storming out of that room, furious. But hey, she's here now, and she wants in. What's stopping you from giving her a chance? I don't want it to be about chance, I muttered, opening her resume. I scrolled through the pages, scanning education, experience, and skills. Nothing particularly impressive, just the usual corporate fluff she must have picked up in. Internships and temporary jobs. A glaring contrast to the hours, sacrifices, and blood, sweat, tears I had poured into building this company. Emma appeared beside me, her laptop tucked under her arm. I heard about the application, she said, raising an eyebrow. I'd advise caution. Emotions will cloud judgment, and this could get messy if mishandled. I need a reason to reject her, I said, still staring at the screen. And the truth is, her qualifications aren't up to our standard, but part of me wants her to see the company thriving under my leadership and realize she underestimated me. Emma nodded. Then let's be strategic. Stick to the facts. Highlight professionalism over revenge. Make your decision based on merit, not feelings. That's the silent satisfaction. Marcus laughed softly on the speakerphone. Silent satisfaction. I like that. You've been plotting this quietly for a while. Honestly, it's better than any confrontation. Let the results speak. I exhaled, scanning Emily's resume again. She had decent communication skills, a few minor projects, but nothing groundbreaking. Compared to the rigorous criteria I demanded, for my team, she was mediocre. Still, the audacity of sending an application made my blood boil. What if I hire her? I asked aloud, more to myself than to either of them. I could. Mentor her, show her what real work looks like. Part of me wants to see the moment she realizes she's not the one in control anymore. Marcus's voice was calm. That's where professionalism comes in. If she's not qualified, the decision makes itself. You don't need to humiliate her. Your success will do that naturally. Exactly. Stick to facts. Review her skills, her experience, her track record. Keep emotions out. Let the company standards justify your choice. It's a controlled outcome. You get to maintain dignity while she faces reality. I leaned back, letting their advice settle. I imagined the satisfaction of sending the rejection email, not cruel, just precise, a calculated statement. Emily, who once laughed at my ideas, would finally see the result of her misjudgment. But at the same time, my conscience reminded me that I wanted it to be deserved, grounded in professionalism. I scrolled down further, double-checking certifications, references, even the minor projects she listed as achievements. Each line reinforced my initial impression. Competent enough to survive in most workplaces, but nothing to impress a startup built on innovation, relentless effort, and strategic thinking. I think it's clear, I said, voice steady now. Her skills don't match our standards. Not even close. Marcus chuckled. There's your answer, then. No drama, no revenge, just facts, and the quiet satisfaction. Priceless. Emma smiled, closing her laptop. Send it professionally. Courteous, clear, factual. That's all you need. You'll enjoy the results without tainting your integrity. I composed the rejection email carefully, each word precise, professional, and devoid of emotion. No subtle digs, no reminders of the past. Just a statement of company standards and the conclusion that she wasn't the right fit. My fingers hesitated over the send button for a moment. Then, with a deep breath, I clicked. As the email went out, a wave of relief washed over me, accompanied by a quiet thrill. Emily would receive it soon, and when she did, she'd finally see that underestimation came at a price. But the price was simply her own inadequacy. No public spectacle, no dramatic confrontation. Just karma, executed silently, methodically, and with undeniable justification. I sat back in my chair, the glow of the monitor reflecting in my eyes. Emily Parker's application still stared at me, but this time, the decision felt different. I had examined every line of her resume, every reference, every project, and it all led to one conclusion. She wasn't the right fit. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, but I didn't hesitate. All right, I muttered, more to myself than anyone else. Time to make a choice. Marcus's voice came through the speaker, calm but probing. You've been quiet. That usually means the storm is brewing. What are you thinking? I'm thinking, she doesn't deserve a spot here, I admitted. Not because of what she said back then, but because she isn't qualified. And I'm tired of letting old grudges fester. This is about merit, not vengeance. Marcus chuckled softly. Merit? Huh? That's a mature answer. Just make sure you stick to it. Pride can sneak in, and then even the best decision feels tainted. I know, I replied. I want this. To be professional. Nothing personal, nothing spiteful. Just a clear boundary, one that she can't ignore when she sees the company thriving without her. Emma, sitting nearby with her laptop open, nodded. That's the right approach. Keep it factual, make it firm, courteous, and leave no room for misinterpretation. It's the silent message that hits hardest. I began drafting the email, choosing each word deliberately. Dear Emily Parker, I typed, thank you for your interest in joining our team. After a careful review of your qualifications and experience, we've determined that your current skills do not align with the specific requirements of this role. We wish you success in your future endeavors. I paused, rereading the lines. They were cold, but professional, precise, yet polite. No personal jabs, no reminders of her past ridicule, just undeniable truth. Marcus broke the silence. Looks perfect. Short, factual, polite. Professionalism speaks louder than any long lecture or public call-out. I smiled faintly. Satisfying, in a quiet way. I don't need her to know I'm thinking about those old moments. The message itself carries the weight. Emma leaned closer. Exactly. She read it and understand, eventually. No theatrics needed, and you get the gratification without compromising integrity. I pressed my fingers together, reflecting on the journey. It's strange. Remember when I felt small, when every laugh and dismissive comment from her felt like a personal failure. Now, I feel powerful. Not because I rejected her, but because I built something real, something undeniable. Marcus's voice softened. That's growth, my friend. That's turning pain into progress. The world doesn't always hand out justice, but you've created it quietly, methodically. I nodded, leaning back in my chair, and that's the point. It's not about proving her wrong. It's about proving to myself that I can rise above the humiliation, the doubt, and the ridicule. That I can build, create, and lead without letting the past consume me. Emma tapped a finger on her laptop, and now you're in full control. You dictate the terms, the pace, the standards. She applies, and you handle it exactly as you see fit. That's empowerment. Empowerment, I echoed, letting the word settle. The irony wasn't lost on me. Emily had once laughed at the idea of my startup, at the very notion of me succeeding. And now she was a small ripple in a pond I had carefully cultivated. Her attempt to enter my world deflected effortlessly by competence and clarity. Marcus's laugh came again, lighter this time. The best part? You didn't stoop to her level. No tantrums, no revenge antics. Just validation, patience, and excellence. That's far more satisfying than any momentary victory. I smiled at that, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. You're right. The quiet, methodical approach. That's far better. And the satisfaction. Pure, no bitterness needed. I clicked send, the soft click echoing like a small drum beat in the otherwise silent office. A wave of calm washed over me. Emily Parker's application had been declined. And yet there was no gloating, no malice. Just the silent acknowledgement that the past could not touch me, that I was now firmly in control of my professional world and my emotions. I've sent it, I said, almost whispering, and it feels perfect. Professional, firm, and completely. Justified, Marcus let out a low whistle. Beautiful. And now, my friend, we focus on the future. Yeah. Your growth, your team, your vision. The past is quiet, but the impact. Unforgettable. Emma smiled, closing her laptop. Exactly. You've made your point without losing your integrity. It's the ultimate statement. I leaned back, exhaling slowly. It's done. For the first time in a long time, I feel free. Free. From doubt, free from ridicule, and quietly victorious. I knew this moment wouldn't be remembered by anyone else. It would be no headlines, no dramatic confrontation. But that didn't matter. The satisfaction was mine, silent yet complete. A testament to patience, perseverance, and the power of quiet success. I sat back in my office chair, staring at the live stream of our product launch. The camera panned over the audience, industry, experts clapping, journalists scribbling notes. My company, my vision, my late nights and sacrifices, it all culminated in this moment. Look at them. I muttered to Marcus, who leaned against the doorframe. They actually believe in what we've built. Marcus grinned. I'd say more than believe. They're impressed. And honestly, you've earned every ounce of it. Remember those early days? The pitches that went nowhere? The investors? Who laughed? I nodded, feeling a quiet heat rise. Yeah, I remember Emily's smirk, the way she rolled her eyes when I presented our first concept. She thought it was a joke. Everyone else probably did too. Emma, seated nearby with a tablet in hand, added, and now, it's validation. But don't let it fuel any desire for confrontation. Satisfaction is enough. I chuckled softly. Satisfaction. Feels strange, but good. Watching people acknowledge our work, even if she's not aware, it's karmic in a way. I don't need to say anything. The success speaks for itself. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Karma. Huh? Careful. Enjoy the recognition, not the vengeance. Leaned forward, eyes glued to the screen. A tech critic who had once questioned my startup's potential was praising our innovation, calling it a leap forward in the industry. The thrill hit me quietly but sharply. Did you hear that? He doubted me. All of them did, and now they're wrong. Emma smiled knowingly. That's why we focus on the work. The rest takes care of itself. Opened my laptop to check online discussions. Social media buzzed with excitement. People sharing live reactions, praising the design, the strategy, the impact. Somewhere in the threads, someone referenced the past our struggles, the doubters, the skeptics. And yes, a few mentioned her indirectly. recalling her dismissive comments. My pulse quickened, but it was controlled. No gloating, no public reminders. Just observation, quiet, internal victory. Marcus noticed my subtle smile. Careful there. I see that glimmer in your eyes. Remember, pride can cloud perspective. Internal satisfaction lasts longer than public gloating. I know, I admitted. It's internal, silent. Watching the threads, the clips, the praise. It's proof of our efforts, not a vendetta. It's just undeniable progress. Emma leaned back, and it's contagious. Your team feels it, investors feel it, the industry feels it. That ripple effect is more powerful than any direct confrontation. Nodded, thinking about how far we had come. But months of long nights, missed dinners, relentless planning. Every setback, every failure, every laugh from someone like Emily, it all funneled into this day. The company's success was a monument to resilience. A reminder that effort outlasts mockery. Marcus sipped his coffee. And this is what I love to see. You didn't stoop to anyone's level. You just grew past it. That's the silent impact. Exactly, I said. I've realized that proving her wrong is secondary. Proving myself right, that's the point. The recognition, the media attention, the respect it's mine without lifting a finger in retaliation. Emma tapped her tablet. And the beauty is, it's sustainable. You've built a foundation, a reputation that lasts. What? Not a momentary highlight or petty victory? People remember integrity paired with excellence far longer than any insult repaid. I smiled, feeling a swell of quiet pride. Integrity paired with excellence. I like that. And watching the industry shift from doubt to recognition. Like every dismissive word from the past is being quietly rewritten by reality. Marcus chuckled. A rewrite indeed. And it's far more satisfying than any dramatic showdown. Silent, precise, effective. I glanced at the comments again, seeing threads about innovation, strategy, and leadership. Emily's name wasn't explicitly mentioned in every post, but I imagined her reading or hearing about it someday. And even if she didn't, it didn't matter, as the validation wasn't for her eyes. It was for mine, for the team, for the journey. Emma closed her tablet, giving a small nod. Enjoy this. Every mention, every headline, every compliment is a reflection of your patience, persistence, and focus. Let it sink in. You've earned it. I took a deep breath, exhaling slowly. I am enjoying it. Quietly, completely. The recognition. It's more than just acknowledgement. It's proof. Proof that persistence pays, that skill matters, that patience can be its own reward. Marcus clapped me on the shoulder. Exactly. And remember, this is just the beginning. Best part is knowing you've already outpaced those who doubted. I leaned back in my chair, letting the energy of the day settle around me. Outpaced, yes. The satisfaction is mine, quiet but absolute. No revenge. I sat on the edge of my bed, phone in hand, scrolling past old messages and emails I had long avoided. Every notification from the past seemed harmless now, yet they carried ghost reminders of moments I wished I could erase. The memory of her laugh, sharp and dismissive, surfaced unbidden. I clenched my jaw, a dull ache of humiliation threading through my chest. Still thinking about her? Marcus's voice came from the doorway, calm but probing. I looked up, surprised by how quietly he entered. Yeah, it never fully leaves, you know? That smirk, her words. I stick. Marcus leaned against the frame, arms crossed. Of course it sticks. But you've been using it differently now, haven't you? Now that sting, it's fuel, not poison. I nodded slowly. Fuel, I keep telling myself that. But sometimes I wonder, was I too naive to trust people so easily? I've been burned before, professionally, personally. Maybe that's why it hurt more this time. Emma's words from earlier echoed in my mind. Patience. Excellence. Let them see it. Don't tell. I typed a note on my laptop to revisit our strategy, but Marcus's gaze kept me tethered. You're thinking too much about what she thought of you, he said. The real question is, what do you think of yourself? I paused, considering his words. I think I'm stronger than I see the mistakes, the missteps, and yet I also see the growth. Every failed pitch, every dismissive glance. It led me here, but the anger, it lingers. Marcus stepped closer, lowering his voice. Lingering anger is natural, but don't let it dictate action. Revenge can be satisfying, sure, but growth that lasts. I smiled faintly, a mix of irony and truth. You sound like a life coach, Marcus. But you're right. Sometimes I imagine confronting her, telling her how wrong she was. Other times I just imagine my company thriving while she stumbles along, thinking she's still relevant. The fantasy is satisfying. He chuckled. Silent victories often hit harder than words ever could. You don't have to announce anything. Let your success speak. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. It's strange. I used to think recognition was external validation from others. Now I see. It's internal. I'm the only one who decides what counts. And yes, seeing her underestimated me, it's part of that. But it's not the entire story. Marcus nodded. Exactly. Reflection isn't just about her. It's about all the betrayals, all the moments you doubted yourself, and how you respond. Now, that's the measure of character. I ran a hand through my hair, letting my thoughts wander. Remember Emily from the first big pitch? Or the investor who ghosted me after months of effort? Even my so-called friends. They all contributed in some way to this. Cynicism, or maybe clarity. Each one hurt, but each one taught me something invaluable. Marcus's voice softened. Now you have a choice. You can let it fester into resentment, or you can channel it. Every betrayal, every scorned word, becomes a building block. It can be better, stronger, wiser. Exhaled, feeling the tension in my chest loosen slightly. I see that. I've spent so long thinking about their mistakes, their arrogance. But it's my actions, my persistence that matter now. Revenge is tempting, but patience. Patience is strategic. My victories don't need applause to validate them. And silence? Marcus asked. I smiled faintly. Silence is powerful. Watching them remain oblivious while I grow. It's poetic. My achievements, my growth, my resilience, they're mine. No explanation required, and that feels like the truest vindication, Marcus grinned. There it is. You've transformed your anger into ambition, your wounds into wisdom. That's no small feat. Most people stay trapped in resentment forever. I leaned forward, feeling the surge of clarity. It's not just about proving them wrong anymore. It's about proving myself right. It's about being someone I respect. It's about building a life where my past humiliation doesn't define me, where I'm not a prisoner of their opinions. Marcus placed a hand on my shoulder. And you are. You've already started. Look at everything you've accomplished so far. The rest is just continuation. Your legacy, not their judgment. I nodded, a warmth spreading through me. You're right. I've been haunted long enough. Now, it's about forward motion. Me, my work, my principles. Let them talk. Let them underestimate. Silence, patience, progress. That's my answer. Marcus chuckled. Wise words. Now go sleep. Earned rest after all this reflection. I closed my laptop, lying back and staring at the ceiling again. The ghosts of the past lingered, but their edges were softer now, blurred by resilience. Betrayal had shaped me, yes, but it had also sharpened me. I smiled faintly, knowing the power of quiet victories, the catharsis of patience, and the sweet satisfaction of letting time validate my journey. I walked into the office that morning feeling different, lighter, sharper. The past months had been a storm of late nights, negotiations, and relentless strategy, and yet I had survived, thrived even. My startup wasn't just surviving, it was flourishing. Investors were calling, partners were impressed, and the product line was exceeding projections. Emma greeted me at the entrance, coffee in hand. You look content, she said, a small smile tugging at her lips. I am, I admitted, taking the cup. It's strange, isn't it? After everything, to feel this? Steady, no panic, no doubt? Just focus. Emma nodded. You've earned it. The company, the progress, it's yours. And so is the quiet satisfaction of being right, without needing to announce it. I leaned against the counter, thinking of Hertha, one who laughed at my ideas, who dismissed me so easily. I pictured the email, the polite rejection, the finality of that moment. The sting was gone now, replaced by calm triumph. It's funny, I said, swirling the coffee. I used to replay her laugh in my mind for hours. Now it barely registers. It's like watching someone else's mistake, not mine. Marcus appeared at the doorway grinning, and here I thought you'd be brooding over her forever. You've changed. I've learned. I said simply. That obsession doesn't build anything. Progress does. Resilience does. And patience proves more than confrontation ever could. Marcus stepped inside, hands tucked into his pockets. True, but tell me, does it still feel good, that quiet revenge? I chuckled softly. It's not revenge anymore. It's recognition. Recognition of how far I've come, without needing to fight anyone to prove it. Her rejection was a reminder of the past, not a weapon for the present. Emma interjected gently. And your growth is evident, not just to yourself. People notice. Industry leaders, colleagues, even former skeptics, they see the results. I nodded, my mind drifting to the flurry of messages that had arrived over the past week. Emails from old investors praising our turnaround, LinkedIn notifications from peers congratulating me on product success. Some even admitted they had doubted me before. The validation was sweet, but measured I didn't crave it. It's satisfying, I said. But it's not the goal. The goal is to keep moving, to keep building something meaningful. Marcus smirked. Meaningful and profitable, I assume. Both, I said with a grin. Success without substance is empty. And substance without strategy is wasted effort. Moved into the conference room, reviewing reports. Emma pointed out projections, highlighting areas for growth. We need to maintain the momentum, she said, tapping the tablet. Your decisions here will set the tone for the next quarter. The company looks strong, but strong companies get complacent. I leaned back, considering the graph lines, the client feedback, the growth charts. I've learned not to rush. Every choice, every hire, every partnership hit matters. And yet the patience I've cultivated is as powerful as any deal. Marcus nodded thoughtfully. And emotionally, you've grown too. You're not trapped by resentment, not dictated by past humiliation. That's maturity. I let the words settle. It's liberation, really. To work, to build, to lead. And not let the ghosts of past ridicule control me. I can remember her laugh, the doubts, the scorn, and still walk forward without bitterness. Emma added quietly, and it sets a tone for your team. They see your focus, your resilience. They learn from your example, not from your grudges. I smiled, feeling the warmth of pride, not arrogance, but measured satisfaction. That's the ultimate payoff. Silent empowerment. My work, my decisions, my patience, they all speak louder than confrontation ever could. Marcus glanced at me, his expression half amused, half proud. And if she ever reaches out or someone else doubts you again, and I respond the same way I always have, I said, firm, it's with results, not words. Let my actions validate my worth. Let time showcase my growth. Silence, patience, progress. That's my answer. Emma and Marcus shared a quiet glance, a silent acknowledgement that the lesson had been learned. We returned to work, the hum of the office filling the space. I felt steady, grounded, and confident. My achievements weren't about proving them wrong anymore. They were about proving myself right by the end of the day. I allowed myself a moment to look at the skyline outside the window. The sun was dipping low, painting the city gold. I felt a profound sense of closure. My past humiliations had shaped me, but they no longer defined me. Every setback, every mockery, every rejection, it contributed to the man I had become. And As I turned back to my team, reviewing the next steps, I realized the story wasn't over. It was just evolving. My resilience, my strategy, my integrity, they were my true victories. And this time, no one could take them away.